Hello, good afternoon students, how are you? So let's see our second chapter, historiography, Indian tradition. So in that we have studied already that 2.1, the tradition of Indian historiography and the Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. So tradition of historiography, that in that we have studied that a learned of object Western tradition and of the historiography in the last lesson. So in this lesson we will study and we will know about the tradition of Indian historiography. So in that I want to revise what we have learned in first video, means previous video, about second chapter. So in that we have studied about historiography in the ancient period. Historiography in the ancient period. Mainly we have to focus on this word ancient, because we have already studied how in India in ancient period the evidences are collected and they use for the narrating the book. So in that we have studied about the written documents we found during the period of Harappan civilization, also the Mauryan Empire, and respective with the Ramayana and Mahabharata. These are the, and also with the Purana. So about these all we have studied, we have collected the document, we have collected evidence and how that evidences are used for the writing books that we have already studied. So after this we have studied, we have took information about the writing biography. So biography is one of the important book that gives more information about a particular person, his life, his ruling, and his weak points and his positive points towards the kingdom. So these all things we have studied. So one of the biography we have studied that the writing of biography of kings and dynasties histories mark the important map in the Indian historiography. The one of the biography name is Harshcharit, written by Banabhatta. And this biography of the one of the kings, Harshavardhan. So in this we have got the information, the realistic pictures of the social, economic, political, religious and cultural life during the king's times. This much we have studied in the last lecture. So whatever we have gathered information that is related to the ancient historiography, now we are going towards medieval historiography, and then after we are going towards modern historiography. So now we are going to see the historiography in the medieval period. So we know that we have three types of history: ancient, medieval and modern. So we have some books wrote by some historians in the medieval. So we are going to study what exactly contains the medieval history and what type of books wrote by historians, who are the other authors. They have written books that we all going to see in this lecture. Okay. So history in a medieval period that we are going to see, the style of writing Raj Tarangini is one of the history of Kashmir by Kalhana in the 12th century C is quite close to the concept of modern historiography. The history of Kashmir is wrote into the one of the famous book Raj Tarangini, wrote by Kalhana, one of the historian. So this concept is related to the history of Kashmir. So concept of modern historiography, Kalhana himself says that he wrote this text after critically examining various sources like inscriptions, coins, remains of ancient monuments, dynasties, records and social traditions. So we have already know that in a modern historiography also, it is important that in modern historiography they are using the base of science and critical examination for the reliable evidences, and it is important to check whether the document is correct, original or not for the modern historiography. But now in medieval age historiography we are studying now. In this historiography also, that Kalhana, one of the historians, said that he examined critically the sources whatever he got for the writing history, for writing the book Raj Tarangini. He critically examined various sources, that inscriptions, coins and monuments and another whatever historical documents he got, that he has studied well about them, and he found that those all documents were reliable and original. So we are going to continue what happened next. In the medieval India, the historians in the course of Muslim rulers were influenced by Arabic and Persian historiography. So whoever all historians who were present in the court of Muslim rulers, they were inspired by the Persian and Arabic historiography, related one of the language. Among them, Ziauddin Barani holds an important place in the Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi, a book written by him. He has stated the purpose of historiography. According to him, the historian's duty is not limited only to the recording of the ruler's valor and policies of welfare, but he should also write about the ruler's failing and incorrect policies. One of the important things here mentioned by the famous historian Ziauddin Barani, one of the famous historian, he wrote one book, that Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi. In the court of Firoz, he worked and he wrote one of the book, Tariq-e-Firuz Shahi. So in that he mentioned that only collecting the positive information about the king's rule and his battle, his wars and his success, his achievement, this means not the history. So what exactly the duty of historian, that he mentioned that historian must collect and mention the information regarding to the failure and the bad policies that started by the king and queen in the particular empire. So one of the important things said by Ziauddin Barani. Also take into consideration in the impact of the teaching of the wise and learned and the sons on the cultural life people. Thus Barani expanded the scope of historiography. So how Barani explained the historiography we have to use for writing or narrating the book based on history. That time he said that while writing the book we must take the help of the scholars or the learned people and wise people and saints who know more about the history, and with that reference we have to write the history according to based on the information. Now we are going to step forward few another historians with the quote of Mughal Empire. For the historians in the Mughal courts, praising the emperors in exhibition of loyalty became more important in the custom of adding suitable poetic quotes and beautiful pictures was also introduced. Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire, wrote an autobiography entitled Tuzak-e-Babari. Tuzak-e-Babari. It contains the description of the battles fought by him. Babur also recorded his minute observation of various regions and cities travelled by him, including the local economy, customs and the flora. So one of the famous founder or ruler from the Mughal emperor, the founder of Mughal empire, that Babur. So he firstly wrote his autobiography. In that he mentioned that whatever journey he did in worldwide, so whatever observation he did during the journey he mentioned in that, and also he gave more information about the battle which fought by him. And the name entitled to the book is autobiography is that the Tuzak-e-Babari, given name to his autobiography. So various economical systems and customs followed by society and the local area, about this also he had mentioned into his autobiography. Now next one we are going to see Abul Fazl's Akbarnama is very important from the viewpoint of critical historiography. His method of collecting authentic historical documents and their scrutiny is looked upon devoid of bias and hence realistic. So one of the famous historian Abul Fazl, and his writing, his book name is Akbarnama, in that he used the reliable authentic information for the narrating the book. Bakar is an important type of historical document of medieval times. It contains eulogies of the heroes and stories of the historic events, battles, lives of great men. So one of the point we are going to see in historiography, that book is called Bakar, in that what exactly information contains. The information regarding to the historical events, battles and lives of a great men who given a valuable contribution for their empire or for their country. So same we are going to see in Marathi language, which are the Bakars are there, that we are going to see now. Marathi Bakars are various types. First one, that Sabasad Bakar was written by Krishnaji Anant Sabasad. So name of the person who wrote the Sabasad Bakar, that Krishnaji Ananta Sabasad. During the region of Chhatrapati Rajaram Maharaj, it is important Bakar for getting information about the rule of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. We already well know about our famous king of Maharashtra, Sri Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj, and to know more about his ruling, his good work, his policies. So one of the historian, Krishnaji Ananta Sabasad, he wrote one Bakar. The name of book is called Bakar. In that the history contains about the Sri Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. So we have studied one Bakar first, that wrote by Krishnaji Ananta Bakar. Now next one, Bhau Sahebanchi Bakar. So with the name we will get some idea. Bhau Sahebanchi Bakar means it is totally related to Bhau Saheb, means who given his contribution into the Panipat war. Describes the battle of Panipat. Another Bakar entitled Panipatchi Bakar. So another one book wrote that is called Bakar, Panipatchi Bakar. So it is also about the event. Holkaranchi Kaifiyat provides the information about the Holkars and their contribution to the Maratha rule. So we already know that many were the rulers have ruled over the Maharashtra, and many were the great persons have given their contribution. There are Holkars are there, Peshwas are there, Marathas are there. So from these all people and who gave the valuable contribution in the battle of Panipat, that Bhau Sahib. So about these people and their value information is given into the Bakar. The book name is Bakar, we can say that. So this is very important for narrating the history. Bakar can divide it into various types such as biographies of kings, dynastic historiography, and descriptions of events, history of a sect, and autobiographies, and regarding grievance and based on mythologies and state administration by the king. So first point is here we can see the mainly autobiography can wrote on the types of Bakars can wrote, it contains the autobiography. We already have studied one of the we got information about the one of the autobiography of the Babur who founded the Mughal Empire. So next one we have studied that Bhau Sahebanchi Bakar, in that we got the information about Bhau Sahib. So these are the autobiographies in the form of Bakar. So next we are going to see in there dynastic history. So particular region, particular empire who have under rule. So about the empire we are getting information through the Bakar. Now descriptions of event. So whatever events or wars or battle took place during the period in the past, so about them we are getting information into the Bakar. So and last one point, the information about the administration of the ruler or king and his policies into the rule during the rule or in his empire. So about these all points we get information into the Bakar. So here we studied the first second point, that historiography in the medieval period. So in this we have focused on who were the Muslim rulers. First we have focused on Muslim rulers, Muslim not, but Mughal rulers, we can say Mughal rulers, that Akbar is there. So from his court many were the rulers are there. So we have studied that, and then after we have studied the historians from the court of Maratha rulers. So what they have wrote using historiography, they wrote the book is called Bakar. So I think you got a perfect idea what is meant by Bakar, what it contains exactly. So now we are next going to see the historiography of the modern period. In modern period, what type of historiography we are going to see in a next point. Okay. So next point we are going to see historiography in the modern period. Historiography in the modern period. So which are the historians who given a valuable contribution for writing the books, and on the basis of which point they have written books, so that we are going to see now. So first point I am going to read and I am going to explain. In the 20th century, the Indian ecological exploration and research started under the British rule. Mainly we can see in a modern historiography is totally based on the 20th century, and during that period there was a British rule in our British rule on our country. So a number of ancient sites were executed under the supervision of Sir Alexander Cunningham, the first Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India. He chose mainly the sites mentioned in the Buddhist text for this purpose. Harappan civilization was discovered during the tenure of Sir John Marshall. Because of the discovery of antiquity of Indian history could be traced to 3rd millennium BC, even earlier. So mainly we can see during the British rule, under the supervision, who is the Director General of the Archaeological Survey section of India. So under his supervision, first excavation started in India in 20th century, and then after we can see he chose mainly the sites mentioned with the Buddhist text, and those sites are used for the study of history. But if we focus on a Harappan civilization and about his history, so it started into the started BC even or earlier, because of the discovery of antiquity of Indian history could be traced by to 3rd millennium. So this after we are going to see many British officials in India wrote about the Indian history. Their writings display strong influence of the colonial policy of the British. So many were the British officials or historians wrote historiography. Using historiography they wrote the books. So through their writings we can get an idea about colonial policy of British rulers, their rulings we can get through their writing. So next we are going to see in there 3 volumes of the history of the British India written by James Mill were published in 1817. British India, the history of British India. This is published in 1817. So this book wrote by James Mill. On Indian history written by the British historian, it clearly reflects an absence of objective perspective and prejudice about the various aspects of Indian culture. We can clearly see this on the Indian history written by the British historian. It clearly reflects an absence of objective perspective and prejudice about the various aspects of the Indian culture. The history of India, written by Mountstuart Elphinstone, Governor of Bombay, now Mumbai, was published in 1841. This period of Maratha Empire is very important in Indian history. Grand Duff name stands out among the British officers who wrote about the Maratha history. He wrote the book entitled A History of Marathas. This book is published in the 3 volumes. Grand Duff's writing also shows the British inclination of condemning Indian culture and history. Similarly, tendency is witnessed in colonial Todd's writing about the Rajasthan's history. So here we can see many of the British historians have focused on Indian culture, Indian tradition, also the colonial policies of the British, that we can get more idea through their writings. So one of the book they have written that A History of Marathas, the Through this book we can get more information on the ruling of Maratha power into the period of 1840, during the period of 1841. So here we are going to see next historians who wrote the history. So many were the British historians we can see that have given their valuable contribution for focusing on the Indian culture. So William Hunter on Indian history shows a somewhat impartial treatment of the subject. Nilakant Janardhan Kirtane and Vishwanath Kashyanath Rajwade also were two Indian historians who took upon the task of exposing the limitations of Grant Duff's writing. They have exactly mentioned what he wrote in his narration. So now we are going to see the second point, 2.2, Indian historiography, various ideological frameworks. So in that we are going to see colonial historiography, after that Orientalist historiography, and then after we are going to study nationalistic historiography. So first we are going to study the colonial historiography. So a little bit idea I want to give you about colonial historiography. So whatever colonial policy followed by the British ruler, British emperors in whole world, about them and about their policies, about their ruling, we will get more information through the colonial historiography. So the first we are going to see the early scholars who studied and wrote Indian history were mainly British officers and Christian missionaries. In the early age, firstly who wrote the books, who are the historians who use historiography method for their writing, they were all British ruler and also Christian missionaries. The prejudice is clearly reflected in the way of them have ridiculed Indian culture. Their writing were used to justify the colonial British rule. So their prejudice is mainly to focus on the culture and also to clearly analyze and keep in front of the people that the British rule, how exactly which policies they have implemented for the people. And the 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India published during 1922 to 1937 century are distinct example of colonial historiography. So one of the 5 volumes of Cambridge History of India. So in this book, they clearly have expressed with the objective, with the prejudice of Indian towards Indian culture and the British rulers. Now, next point we are going to see Orientalist historiography. So many European scholars felt curious about civilization and countries of the East. In East onwards, many were the countries have their different languages, and about them many were the historians had a curiosity. With that curiosity they started to find out information and they wrote some book. Some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. These scholars were known as Orientalists. So which were these scholars or historians? Some of those scholars felt admiration and respect for them. These scholars were known as Orientalists. So the Orientalists studied the similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. The people who studied, or the historians who studied about the history of about languages which is used in the East, that people are called Orientalists. and these Orientalists studied similarities between Sanskrit and some of the European languages. They focused more on Vedic tradition and Sanskrit literature. Their studies resulted into formulating the notion of the ancient language and could be the mother of all Indo-European language. So they have given more stress on the study of Vedic history, and also they have expressed that the ancient language is the mother of all Indo-European language. So mainly they have given statement that Sanskrit is the mother of all language from the East Indo-European languages. In 1784, Sir William Jones founded a Asiatic Society in Kolkata. It opened the doors for research in ancient India literature and history. So one of the Asiatic Society founded by William Jones for the study of ancient Indian literature and history. So among the Orientalist scholars, Friedrich Max Müller deserves a special mention because he given a valuable contribution for it. So what he did, that we are going to see now. In his opinion, Sanskrit was the most ancient language of Indo-European languages. We already know that we have already studied that Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. So firstly here the statement given by the Friedrich Max Müller. Sanskrit is the most ancient language, and he was deeply interested in Sanskrit literature. He first translated the Sanskrit text of Hitopdesh. He was the editor of 50 volumes of the sacred books of the East. He also compiled Rigveda, which has been published in 6 volumes. He translated Rigveda into the German. In German language, he had translated the book. So one of the famous Friedrich Max Müller, he translated the Sanskrit text Hitopdesh also, and also he translated Rigveda in German language, and he given the first statement that the Sanskrit is a mother of all Indo-European languages. The next point we are going to see that nationalistic historiography. So about the nation, that we are going to see nationalistic historiography. The writings of Indian historians. Now we already have studied that about the foreign or other countries' historians. Now we are going to nationalistic historiography. So in that we are mainly going to study about our Indian historians. The writings of Indian historians who were trained in British educational system, who learned under the British rule, show the inclination to restore the pride in the ancient glory of India and the self-esteem of the Indian readers. So whatever pride of the Indian culture, ancient culture of India, they want to put in front of the Indians in our own language, and for that their writings are known as nationalistic historiography. Nationalistic writings in the Maharashtra were inspired by Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar. He criticized the prejudiced history of ancient India written by British officers. Whatever history wrote by the Britishes about Indian culture, that whole history critically studied and corrected by the Vishnu Shastri Chiplunkar, in India. He criticized the prejudiced history of ancient India written by the British officers. The nationalistic historians tried to seek the golden era of Indian history. They want to keep in front of the people that golden timeline, the era of Indian history in front of the people. They are at the times of blame for the ignoring the critical analysis of the historical truth. Mahadev Govind Ranade, Ramakrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, Rajendra Lal Mishra, Ramchandra Mujumdar, Kashi Prasad Jaiswal, and Radha Kaumud Mukherjee, Bhagwan Lal Indraji, and also Vasudev Vishnu Mishra, Mirashi, and Ananta Sadashiv Altekar are the names of some renowned scholars among the nationalistic historians. So, while analyzing critical things of Indian history, they are blamed for they are not mentioned the critical things of Indian history into their writings during the British rule. Here one point we can see that they are at the times of blame for ignoring the critical analysis into the Indian history. The truth which is ignored by the Indian historians, for that they have blamed through the British rulers. So now we are going to see, do you know next? Justice Mahadev Govind Ranade has explained the background of the rise of Maratha Empire in the great detail in his book. One of the justice from India, he wrote one of the book. His name of the justice is Mahadev Govind Ranade. He explained in his writing that the rise of Maratha power, the book name is Rise of Maratha Power. According to him, it was not like suddenly erupted forest fire, but the ground for it in Maharashtra on the social, cultural and religious levels was getting ready over the prolonged period. He said that he given the statement that the rise of Maratha power, the Maratha power is not came into the, it's not took birth suddenly, but it not took birth suddenly in the frame of forest fire, means with the high power, but it took birth from the social, cultural and religious level, was on the base of social, religious and cultural, and it get ready from the prolonged period, from the long lasting period, it got ready for the fight, explained by the Justice Mahadev Ranade. So next, one of the historian we are going to see, Rajwade is well known for his writing in Marathi on varied subjects like history, grammar, etc., etymology, grammar, etc. He was of the firm opinion that we should write our own history. He compiled and edited 22 volumes of मराठ्यांच्या इतिहासाची साधने. He wrote very scholarly preface to each of the 22 volumes. He stated history is the all-inclusive image of the past societies. It does not include only the stories of political images, conspiracies and wars for seizing power. He insisted that history should be written on only using the authentic documentary source. So Rajwade, one of the famous historian from Maharashtra, he said, and he converted the 22 volumes मराठ्यांच्या इतिहासाची साधने, and after that he given the statement that history is not related only for regarding to the wars or the conspiracy or political images or the stories of the battle, but history is about the should written the basic used or it is written by using authentic documentation or authentic reliable document which must use for the writing of history. So another point another point we are going to see, he given statement about that history is all inclusive image of past societies. So whatever history we are studying, that one of the image of the society that we have seen into the past. So after this we are going to see the next nationalistic historian who is given valuable contribution for it. The next nationalistic historian we are going to see that Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, means V.D. Savarkar. So what he gave contribution exactly for the historiography that we are going to see now. The nationalistic historiography helped in the triggering of the independence movement of the Indian people against the British rule. What is the exact phase of Indian history that expressed towards Indian people? This work did by all Indian nationalistic historians. So this work gave more enough force for the struggle of Indian freedom fight. So next nationalistic historian we are going to see. In this aspect, the book The Indian War of Independence 1857, written by Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, of great importance. The nationalistic historiography provided momentum to the writing of regional histories too. It gave more scope to write a regional history, for example Rajasthan and their ruling powers in Maharashtra, Marathas are also there. From the many particular region they have got a scope for writing their history. So next one, as the result of attention of historians was drawn to the geographic condition and the history of South Indian regions. So mainly many of the historians, nationalistic historians have focused on geographical condition and their history. For example, South Indian regions. Now from this we are going to see V.K. Rajwade founded Bharat Itihas Sanshodhak Mandal in Pune on 7th July 1910 to facilitate historical research, to give more grip or give more scope for the historical research. One of the mandal founded by V.K. Rajwade, Bharat Itihas Sanshodhak Mandal in Pune on 7th July 1910 to facilitate historical research. Facilitate or give more scope for their study. So here we can see about more about the V.K. Rajwade. Human history is defined by time and scope, describing any event necessities. That final portion should be spread on the complete canvas of the given time and place. Only a balanced combination of the three factors, time, space and personalities is present, then only an event does qualify to be called so. So he has briefly explained about the importance of the time and events took place into the past, which are necessary for the writing historiography. historiography in the post-independence era, means post-independence period, that's historiography we are going to see now. Now along with the writing the dynastic histories, the cultural, social, economic histories were also being written. If we see, many were historians mainly wrote their books on the history of king, their story, their battles, war. But now, in the post-independence period, many were historians started to write books on a cultural, economical, social, and also geographical base. Scholars of the post-independence era began to feel that need of writing histories of various communities, sciences, economic system, political ideologies, cultural aspects, etc. The historiography of this era has been influenced mainly by the ideological schools, Marxist history and subaltern history and the feminist history. These are the three types of ideological schools history we are going to study in the next lecture, that Marxist history, subaltern history and feminist history, and what type of changes, what type of development they have did in this, that we are going to see. So first point we are going to see now, that Marxist history. So now we are going to see who were the historians played main role while writing history. For the means of production, modes of the production and the industrial relations were at the center in the writings of Marxist historians. So which are the subjects, which are the sections are on the center point of the writing for the Marxist historians, that we are going to see. Accordingly, to analyze the impact of every social event of the significance has remained the basic theme of Marxist historiography. Marxist historiography in India studied the transition within the caste system. So whatever caste system, though India is divided in the past within the caste system, that so transition took place, that study of that is on a center point of Marxist historiography. So among the notable Indian historians who adopted Marxist ideological framework, scholars like Damodar Dhamananda Kosambi, Comrade Shripad Amrut Dange, and also Ram Sharan Sharma. Notably, Comrade Dange was one of the founder member of the Indian Communist Party and Primitive Communism to Slavery. The book written by him represents the Marxist historiography. So only we have to keep in mind, so what are the points kept in the center for the study. So here I want to revise once again. So few points are here. First one, the Marxist historians used to focus on the industrial relations and also the caste system from the society and means of production, modes of production. So means, whatever means are used for the production system, that also focused into the Marxist history. So remaining parts, subaltern history and the feminist history, that we are going to study in next lecture, we will continue in that. So you have to once again revise and read the chapter carefully and read 3 sections of history, in that colonial historiography, oriental historiography and also nationalistic historiography. So if any doubt and query, then ask, I will clear. and also after the lesson that we are going to study the exercise and we are writing and we are studying the question answers. Okay, so here I am going to stop, and in next lecture we will continue our remaining part of second chapter of history. That name of chapter is Historiography Indian Tradition.